A very warm welcome to everyone's joining us here in the Esplanade Concourse, and for everyone tuning from home, welcome to Rhythms at Dusk. I'm Harani.
And my name is Elwin.
Yeah. And I'm a spoken word artist. I write poems in English and Tamil, and Elwin is a guitarist who's been performing on the guitar for the past 12 years. So today's performance is going to be a beautiful combination of words, poetry, music. And before we start with the poetry, I think it'll be nice to kind of ease in with the beautiful music and a beautiful piece, original piece by Elwin. Take it away, Elwin.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think, Elwin, if anyone was feeling the Monday blues, I think you just totally eliminated that with a lovely piece. So I just want to ask you about your original piece. What inspired you to write it?
Yeah, I guess the past year has been stressful to me, and I'm sure to many other people. And lately I've been just spending a lot of time in public spaces, just cycling in the park by myself. And yeah, I was just thinking about this serene feeling, and this kind of came out when I was just playing the guitar.
I wish if I pick up the guitar, I could come up with the original piece myself, but I guess that's why you've been playing the piano for the past 12 years. That's lovely. And this brings us to the first poetry piece of tonight. This piece is a recent piece that I wrote, and it was actually in a reaction with all the things that have been happening in the news in Singapore. Recently, there were a couple of attacks or plans of attacks, and this kind of really got me thinking about, how have we come so far as a nation, especially when it comes to harmony, peace building, racial harmony. And I was actually very nervous writing this piece because most of my pieces are very personal. And this is the first poem that I wrote in response to something that is much, much larger than me, you, anyone around here, but what's happening in our country, what's the climate like. So I hope all of you enjoy this piece. Roses of Peace. 11th December 1950. The crooked roads of an island brimming with possibility runs deep with riots and violence. Curfews are announced, shuttering everyone in. Fear runs loose on the streets. Bloodshed engulfs 18, injuring 173. Today, the island has been reimagined and rebirthed into a nation. We've come far, we can all agree. Different shades of skin woven together, beating to the drumbeat of a bustling city that never fears from hustling, a beautiful portrait of diversity. Yet, no island is safe for the waves that come crashing, threatening our skyscraper sandcastles built on idyllic shores. Today, comment sections have become war zones. Keyboard warriors draw battle lines, round-shouldered warriors follow behind, each word ammunition for the other side. Jab a personal attack with no white flag in sight. A click, a share, a comment, an algorithm pulls you into a chamber where your darkest insecurity and unvoiced anger is echoed back to you 100 times stronger. In times like this, we must remember, souls of discord can only be healed with love. We will acknowledge the thorns, but not be subsumed. So one day we'll walk into the garden and smell the roses of peace. When we're tested, we'll remember the words that roll off our tongue with ease. Ideals to hold as pledges of pride, regardless of race, language, or religion, regardless of our many, many differences. If we commit to not just listening with our ears, but with our open, beating hearts, we will champion the rights of the other, remembering that just because our cups are full or overflowing doesn't mean we stop our friends with half-filled cups from the good fight. When you pause, reset, reflect, you will realize our similarities run deep. Our shared dreams, challenges, and history bonds us together in this city that never sleeps. Thank you. And with that, we will have our second original piece by Elwin. Ready, Elwin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know, when I hear this original piece of yours, I always feel like I'm going on this long drive in a highway, possibly towards an airport, hopefully soon. So I just wanted to ask you, was this a recent piece that you've written? How was your process like for this one?
I kind of wrote the main idea of this piece quite a while ago, maybe 5 years ago, and I don't really write this kind of guitar-centric pieces anymore, but this was at a point in my music journey where I was sort of learning how to play the instrument not as part of a band but as a solo instrument, and it was just the feeling I was trying to get through was potential, all the potential in the world. And now revisiting it recently, it's kind of when you read a piece of your writing from a long time ago, it's you can see a past version of yourself and you empathize with that. So yeah, that was pretty interesting.
So you revisited many past selves,
yeah,
I guess, when you kind of re-perform some of the pieces you'd written before. That's the same thing I feel about writing, by the way. So that brings us to our second piece. This piece is going to be the only Tamil piece, because I also write poems in Tamil. And this poem was also recently written. It was inspired by a pioneer writer called P. Krishnan. And he wrote a short story about a person who has a lot of superstitious beliefs, but then a tragedy happens and he finally realizes that, all his superstitious beliefs have been holding him back, and he loses his hope in that. And so I kind of took that idea and brought it to the year 2020. How many of you started 2020 by reading your horoscope? You can just put your hands up. Really? Even with Chinese New Year, you didn't read, how is it going to be for you, the year for you? Anyway, so this poem is about how this astrologer makes a lot of different predictions about the year 2020. He tells people they're up for promotions, they're going to be traveling. But of course, for many of us, that didn't happen. And so yeah, it kind of shows this person finally realizing that all these superstitious beliefs don't take any hold. Here we go. Kala Kanaka, the calculation of time. பிரபஞ்சத்தையே கை நுனிக்குள் கணிக்கும் திறன் கொண்டவர் என்றெல்லாம் சோதிட சுந்தரலிங்கத்தை பற்றி ஊரில் பேச்சு. கிரகங்கள் இடமாறுவதும் கைரேகையில் படர்ந்த விதியை படிப்பதும் நெற்றிக்கண் திறந்து அறிவுரை கூறுவதும் இவருக்கு அன்றாட வித்தைகள். மேற்படிப்பிற்கும் வேலை உயர்வுக்கும் கடன் தீர்ப்பதற்கும் குழந்தை பாக்கியத்திற்கும் வைகுண்டத்தை விட இவருக்கு தான் விண்ணப்ப கடிதங்கள் அதிகம் என வந்திகள் வேறு. பொய் உண்மையானது, யூகங்கள் நிஜமானது, ஆசைகள் நிறைவேற பணம் கைமாறியது. Lies became truth, speculations reality, money exchanges hands in exchange for greed. பாராட்டின் சிம்மாசனத்தில் தனது தந்திரங்கள் அறியாமை பூர்த்திவிட இருளில் ஒளிந்து கொண்டது. நல்ல காலம் பிறக்க போது, நல்ல காலம் பிறக்க போது. இந்த ஆண்டில் உலகத்தையே சுற்றி வருவீர்கள். இன்னும் 6 மாதங்களில் அதிர்ஷ்டம் உங்கள் கதவுகளை தட்டும். உங்கள் வீடுகளில் சிரிப்பின் சத்தம் என்றும் ஒலிக்கும். இன்று தொலைக்காட்சியில் 2020 ஆண்டை கூவி பெற்ற சோதிட சுந்தரலிங்கத்தின் வீட்டு வாசலில் இன்று ஈக்கள் மொய்க்கும் சத்தமே கேட்டது. Thank you. I know many of you probably didn't understand 90% of that, but I'm so glad that you were able to just kind of enjoy the rhythm and the feel of the poem. So The next piece we have was a piece inspired by Billy Joel's song called Vienna. Any Billy Joel fans here? One. Okay. So in the song Vienna, there's this like 2-line lyric that goes, slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile. And as a millennial, I kind of actually felt that. Do you feel that, Elwin?
I mean, yeah, the past year kind of forced us all to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, and I think I especially kind of felt that, especially as millennials, we're always like, go, 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 go. I think the year 2020 really made us kind of like sit back and reflect. So this is kind of like a piece that kind of confronts the year 2020 and how do you kind of make sense of things when you have to slow down. And the piece is also entitled by today's set. It's called Rhythms at Dusk. Rhythms at Dusk. You and I are caught in this waiting room. The lamps overhead sway in gloom. Wallpapers peel off, its corners rotten with mold. As we pace through time, days converging into one, gray and old, memory holds us tight and tells us, if withstanding dreary afternoons bring glimmers of light, it's worth the fight. We hiked mountains in winter, at dusk in the dew, anxiously awaiting for the mountaintop view. Now we're huddled in our childhood bedroom, self-pity, our new perfume. Checklist, bucket list, sit on our bedside table. The coffee goes cold, breeze blows hot. The furious words come out. This is not the fanfare, the red carpet I imagined would be rolled out. No mountains in sight to climb. But till the next flight takes off and these masks come off, till the light comes out, till the view clears up and we can claim our mountain tops. Hey you, take this seat by my side. We'll stop time till the next tide lines these shores, making rhythms at dusk. Thank you. So the last poem is kind of like a love letter to my curly, big hair. I think especially in a place like Singapore, sometimes having big hair, curly hair, you tend to stand out. And growing up, you'll always hear, your hair's very messy in it. And I don't think I had the kind of presence of mind to tell them, oh, it's just curly. So it kind of took me a long while to kind of accept my hair and to embrace it and to love it and to be proud of it and to feel that it's a part of me that I can embrace. So yeah, here it goes. Big hair wisdom. Grew out, sleek and soft, straight, long, falling down to young knees during 2 Californian autumns. It curled and frizzled under the hot tropics of New Home, Singapore. The milk-laced tongue got used to laksa and peppered curry, her ears filled with the constant laughter of elderly wisdom. The hair absorbed newfound knowledge well beyond its years, most of them borrowed, and it grew longer, thicker, the straight strands curling into one another in a maze, whispering questions. Will I be pretty enough? Will the other kindergarten kids like me? When would I finish climbing the monkey bar? Why does sand get into my hair? Why is my voice too soft? And why does that unbrazen brown boy like pulling my hair? The straight strands were weaving into one another, cuddling for comfort. Over the years, they were trimmed and cut over and over, puzzling hairdressers island-wide with a shock of black combs. They tried the U-cuts, the straight cuts, and begged she opted for thinning. She refused and medicated them with coconut oil. The awkward hair didn't hide her rounded shoulders, broad hairline, and wallpaper she mistook for clothes. But she found her eyes expressive, her nose permissible, better bejeweled with a diamond nose stud. And finally, she found the hairdresser who tamed split ends, making them flow from her forehead like divine black waves, framing her cheeks, parting at the right axis of her face. He refused to thin the spillage. It was brimming with bottled rage and curiosity to wash over anyone she has met and to make the town fall in love with her. You see, the curls weren't just pretty. They were her. Big, bursting, loud, but tender, waiting to answer questions any eyes sought to ask her. The big hair wasn't just pretty. It was her story. Thank you, and this brings us to our last piece for tonight. Thank you for being such a lovely audience. And this poem is actually especially very close to my heart because I wrote it at a time where I was feeling like slightly invisible, at a time where I felt like, no one wanted to hear my opinions. And I kind of wrote it to a lot of young women who feel that way. And this year we celebrate women. I mean, every year we should be celebrating women. So this is kind of an ode to all the women, regardless of all the sort of hardships that they face, obstacles they face, those who keep going. And I think today's set, Rhythms at Dusk, it talks about hard things that we all face, but it takes a kind of a framing where we look at it from a place of hope. We say, okay, this is a painful experience, but how can I be hopeful of the future? And I hope that with us, with the music, with the words, you can also share this feeling of hope with all of us. So without further ado, a seat at the table. When you're too young, small, or inexperienced to be noticed, and your voice is too soft, stand on the benches as if they were still, saving you from floods of insecurity, and howl into the loudspeaker if it means you will be noticed. When you find yourself without a seat at the table, wear the shiniest tap shoes embezzled with stars and tap dance across the table if it means you will be noticed. We're all here, young, wide-eyed, wanting and begging the world to notice us and recognize the magic in our fingertips. But sometimes we're left in the dark with no map for an exit sign. Let your eyes be the torchlight sending SOS signals for help. Let your courage keep you afloat for the next adventure. When they forget to give you a place at the table, when they say you're too soft to be heard, too young to matter, remember to bring your sparkling tap shoes and a loudspeaker to make any room dance to your tunes. Well, thank you. I'm going to say a big thank you for everyone who joined us here in the Esplanade Concourse and for everyone watching at home. Both of us will have some gigs at the Esplanade in the coming 2 months. I'll be performing on 21st March, Saturday, at Esplanade for a show called Bharati Pen. And Elwin, you also have a performance coming up in April, right?
Yeah, so I'll be playing with my jazz band friends on the 11th of April at the Outdoor Theatre, and on the 16th of April with Sam Driscoll here on the concourse. So hope to see you there.
Wow, that's a program you have lined up. So if you enjoyed anything that you heard tonight, make sure you also catch our other stuff, and hopefully in another given opportunity, we'll see you soon. Before we leave, I would like to thank our crew for making everything possible. A round of applause for them. I'd like to thank Grace and Ness from Esplanade for making this possible. And thank you again, Esplanade, for making this possible, especially at this time, giving your support for all the artists. Thank you very much.